Before heroes carried swords and monsters haunted maps, the world itself held its breath, waiting for a mistake powerful enough to wake the gods. This is where our story begins, at the edge of pride, prophecy, and a curse that would echo through myth. But before we begin, if you enjoy immersive mythology and cinematic storytelling, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. It truly helps this channel grow. Stay tuned, because this story begins quietly, but it will end in stone. Long before the name Perseus was whispered as a hero, a king ruled beneath the open sky, convinced that destiny itself could be challenged. His name was Perseus, king of Argos, a man whose power rested on stone walls, loyal soldiers, and a belief that the gods spoke only to those who listened. Perseus did not listen. He ruled with confidence, sharpened into arrogance, and like many rulers before him, he believed the future could be controlled if one acted boldly enough. But fate has a way of finding those who run from it. One night, troubled by dreams that would not fade, Perseus sought the voice of prophecy. The oracle did not speak in riddles this time. The message was clear, cold, and final. Perseus would be killed by the son of his own daughter. The king laughed at first, then the laughter died. He had only one child, a daughter named Danae, and in his fear, Perseus made a choice that would shape everything that followed. He did not challenge the prophecy with humility or prayer. He challenged it with defiance. Danae was sealed away in a tower of bronze, hidden from the world, hidden from time itself. No man would ever reach her. No child would ever be born. Fate, Perseus believed, had been outwitted. But the gods were watching. They always are. From the heights of Olympus, silence passed between them. Not anger, not mercy, but attention. Mortals who try to rewrite destiny rarely escape notice. And while Perseus believed his actions were unseen, his defiance echoed louder than any prayer. It was Zeus, ruler of the sky, who answered, not with thunder, but with patience. He did not strike down Perseus. He did not free Danae with force. Instead, he chose a quieter path, one that would unfold slowly, inevitably. Golden light slipped through bronze walls. Danae was not alone. Fate had found its way inside. From this union came a child, a boy destined to walk paths neither gods nor kings could fully control. And though Perseus would cast mother and child away in terror, sealing them inside a wooden chest and casting them into the sea, destiny had already taken its first step. But this is not yet the story of Perseus, because every hero's journey begins with a shadow. Far from Argos, far from kings and prophecy, lived a young woman named Medusa. Before her name became a warning, before her face became a curse, she was known for something else entirely. She was devoted. Medusa served in the temple of Athena, goddess of wisdom and war. Her life was shaped by discipline, ritual, and silence. She was not a creature of darkness. She was not feared. She was admired. Her beauty was spoken of in hushed tones, not as vanity, but as something almost sacred. And that was her tragedy. When the gods move quietly, mortals often pay the price. A moment came, uninvited, irreversible, that shattered Medusa's life within the walls of the temple she trusted. Power crossed a line that devotion could not defend. And when the dust settled, it was Medusa who stood condemned, not by mortals, by a god. Athena's punishment was not swift death, it was transformation. Medusa's beauty was stripped away and reshaped into something meant to repel the world. Her hair twisted into living serpents. Her presence became unbearable. Worst of all, her gaze, once gentle, was turned into a weapon. Any who met her eyes would be frozen, transformed into lifeless stone. Medusa did not choose this power. She was exiled, driven to the edges of the world, where sunlight faded and the earth itself seemed afraid. Over time, fear replaced memory. Travelers vanished, stone figures littered the land, locked in their final moments. And so Medusa became what stories required her to be, a monster. Yet, beneath the curse, the truth remained. She was both victim and threat, shaped by forces far beyond her control. The gods did not speak of this contradiction. Mortals rarely noticed it. And fate continued its march. Because while Medusa was cast into darkness, the child born of prophecy was growing stronger. While Acrisius clung to fear, destiny sharpened its blade. And while the gods remained silent, their designs moved closer to collision. A king who defied fate, a woman cursed into legend, and a future hero not yet aware that his path would lead him straight into the gaze of a monster. This was the beginning, not of a battle, but of a curse, one that would demand blood, reflection, and sacrifice, one that would set the world on a course towards stone and steel. Stay tuned, because next, the hero is chosen and the impossible quest begins.
Heroes are not born beneath banners or crowned by prophecy. Most of them begin unseen, carrying no name the world remembers, until a single moment forces destiny to speak. This moment belonged to Perseus. He grew up far from marble halls and guarded thrones, raised on the edge of the sea, where survival mattered more than legacy. His mother, Danae, taught him caution and restraint, lessons shaped by exile and silence. From her, Perseus learned how to listen, how to endure, and how to remain standing when the ground beneath you shifts without warning. There was no mention of prophecy in his childhood, no tales of greatness whispered at night. Perseus knew only that his past was dangerous and that asking questions could cost them both everything. So he lived quietly, strong from labor, alert from years of watching the horizon. But fate does not require belief. It only requires time. When Perseus came of age, the world began to notice him, not for who he was, but for what he represented. His strength drew eyes, his confidence stirred jealousy, and soon whispers followed him into places where silence once protected him. Those whispers reached the court of Polydectes, ruler of the island where Perseus and Danae had sought refuge. Polydectes was clever, patient, and deeply aware of power. He desired Danae, but her son stood in the way, not with threats, but with presence. Perseus did not know he had become an obstacle. That realization would come at a feast. The hall was filled with laughter, polished cups, and promises spoken too quickly. Polydectes announced his intention to marry, calling for gifts from every man present: horses, gold, proof of loyalty. Each guest complied, eager to be seen. Perseus, young and proud, had nothing to give, and pride can be just as dangerous as fear. When laughter turned toward him, Perseus did not lower his gaze. Instead, he spoke. He said he would bring a gift greater than all others combined. He said he would claim something no one dared name. He said He would bring the head of Medusa. The room fell silent. This was not bravery, it was impulse, a challenge spoken without understanding its weight. Perseus knew the stories, as everyone did. Medusa was death made flesh. To meet her eyes was to lose your life without a wound. Polydectes did not smile. He accepted the vow. In that moment, the feast became a trap. Polydectes declared the vow binding. A king's word made it law. What had been spoken in pride could not be taken back. Perseus had offered his life, and the court had witnessed it. The path forward closed behind him. As news spread, the whispers changed tone. Pity replaced envy. No one offered advice because there was none to give. No warrior had returned from Medusa's lair. No champion had found a way around her gaze. Perseus understood the truth too late. This was not a quest meant to be completed. It was a sentence. That night, Perseus stood alone beneath the open sky. He thought of his mother, of the sea that once carried them in silence, of a life that had been simple and now was balanced on a single promise. Fear pressed in, but it did not break him. He could have fled. He did not. Instead, Perseus made a choice that defined him more than any prophecy. He would face what waited in the dark, even if the road ended there. Not for glory, not for reward, but because turning away would mean surrendering everything he was. At dawn, he announced his departure. The island watched him leave without ceremony. No blessings followed him. No army marched at his side. Perseus carried only what he could hold and the weight of a vow spoken too soon. And yet, as his footsteps carried him farther from safety, something shifted. Far above, unseen eyes took notice. The gods had been waiting. Not because Perseus demanded their help, not because he believed in their favor, but because he stepped forward when retreat would have been easier, because he accepted a fate designed to end him and refused to collapse beneath it. This was the moment Perseus became more than a survivor. He became a candidate. The impossible task was now set: to hunt a creature no man could face, to defeat a power that could not be challenged directly, to walk willingly into a place where every path ended in stone. The wager had been made. Death was the expected outcome. And somewhere beyond the horizon, Medusa waited, unaware that a young man with no armor, no army, and no certainty was already moving toward her legend. A hero had been chosen, not by prophecy alone, but by the courage to step forward when the world expected him to fall.
Strength alone has never defeated the impossible. Legends are shaped in quieter moments when preparation matters more than power, and wisdom decides what force never could. For Perseus, the road forward did not begin with a clash of blades, but with stillness. He traveled without direction at first, guided only by the weight of his vow and the knowledge that rushing toward death would change nothing. Each step carried doubt, each night tested resolve, and in that silence, something ancient listened. It was Athena who appeared first, not in thunder or flame, but in calm certainty. The air sharpened when she stood before him, as if thought itself had taken form. Perseus did not kneel, he did not speak, he waited. Athena's gaze was clear, measuring not his strength, but his judgment. She told him what no one else had. Medusa could not be defeated by courage alone. To face her directly was to lose before the battle began. Victory would require distance, reflection, and control. Then Athena revealed the first gift, a shield polished to a flawless surface, bright enough to catch the world within it, not a weapon for striking, but for seeing. She told Perseus this shield would be his eyes when his own could not be trusted. Through reflection, he could move without meeting Medusa's gaze. Through discipline, he could survive what others never had. This was not protection, it was strategy. Athena did not promise success, she promised possibility, and then she was gone. Perseus stood alone again, holding something heavier than bronze, the responsibility to think before he acted. His journey continued, slower now, more deliberate. Every step became practice, every movement rehearsed. He learned to walk without looking directly ahead, to trust angles and shadows. The shield was not yet tested, but already it was shaping him. Then the air shifted. Laughter echoed where none should be. Light bent, playful and quick. Hermes arrived as motion itself, never still, never silent for long. Unlike Athena, Hermes smiled. He spoke of roads that twisted and doors that did not open for those who rushed. He called Perseus brave, then warned him that bravery without preparation was just another path to ruin. Hermes brought gifts of his own, winged sandals, light as breath, made to carry Perseus where ordinary steps would fail, not to flee danger, but to control distance, to approach when needed, to withdraw when survival demanded it. Speed, Hermes explained, was not about escape, it was about choice. Next came the curved blade, sharp and balanced, designed not for battle, but for precision. It would not hack or crush, it would cut cleanly, swiftly, with intention, a tool meant for a single moment that would decide everything. Hermes did not linger, he never does, but before leaving, he gave Perseus something less tangible, knowledge, directions to the Graiae, ancient beings who guarded secrets older than memory. If Perseus wanted to reach Medusa, he would need information no map could provide. The gifts were assembling now, not as symbols of power, but as parts of a plan. Perseus sought the Graiae not with force, but with timing. When he took what they guarded and returned it only after learning the path forward, it was not cruelty, it was necessity. Every step taught him the same lesson. This quest would not reward hesitation, but it would punish recklessness. One by one, the tools came together. A helm that bent sight itself, allowing Perseus to move unseen when escape mattered more than confrontation. A pouch, unremarkable at first glance, but woven with purpose, designed to hold what should never be exposed. Each item answered a problem Perseus had not yet faced. Together, they formed something rare, a way forward. There was no trial of strength, no test of endurance. The gods did not ask Perseus to prove himself with spectacle. Instead, they asked him to think, to adapt, to respect the danger ahead. Because Medusa was not just a creature to be slain, she was a problem to be solved. And problems do not yield to force alone. As Perseus prepared, he understood something deeper. These gifts did not guarantee victory, they only narrowed the odds. The rest depended on discipline, on restraint, on the ability to act without hesitation when the moment arrived. The gods had given him tools, they had not given him forgiveness for mistakes. When Perseus finally turned his steps toward the edge of the known world, he did so with clarity. He knew what each gift was meant to do. He knew when to use them and when not to. He was no longer a young man walking toward death without a plan. He was a hunter moving toward a legend. The lair of Medusa waited beyond shadow and silence. Stone figures marked the path, warnings carved by failure. Perseus did not look away. He adjusted his grip on the shield. He measured his breath, and he stepped forward, not as the strongest man alive, but as the most prepared. The gods had played their part.
What remained was execution. Some places do not welcome footsteps. They remember every soul that entered and never left. This was one of them. The land around the lair of Medusa was quiet in a way that felt deliberate, as if sound itself had learned fear. No birds crossed the sky. No insects moved through the air. Even the wind seemed to slow, unwilling to disturb what lay ahead. Perseus did not rush. He slowed his breathing, steady and measured, and stepped forward with care. Each footfall was placed as if the ground might answer back. The first shapes appeared at the edge of vision, figures standing too still, frozen mid-motion. Statues. Warriors caught in stone, shields raised, faces locked in surprise or determination. Some knelt, some reached forward, none had finished what they began. Time had ended for them in an instant, preserved forever by a single glance. Perseus did not study their faces. He already understood the warning. He raised the shield Athena had given him, angling it just enough to reflect the path ahead. The world appeared reversed in its surface, distorted, distant, but safe. Every movement now depended on discipline. One mistake, one careless look, that was all it would take. Stone figures lined the approach like markers on a road built from failure. Perseus moved between them, not faster, not slower, but exactly as planned. The winged sandals carried him silently when the ground grew uneven. The helm rested unused, saved for escape. Then the air changed. The lair opened before him, shadow folding inward like a held breath. Inside, the light dimmed, bending around jagged stone and coiled shapes that shifted softly against one another. Medusa was there. She lay among her serpents, motionless, resting in a stillness that felt earned. The creatures that crowned her head moved even as she slept, living, watchful, sensing without sight. Her presence filled the space, heavy and undeniable. Perseus stopped. This was the moment every story warned about, the instant when fear demanded retreat, when instinct urged the eyes to look directly, to confirm, to know. He did not look. Instead, he trusted the reflection. The shield showed her shape in fragments, the curve of her form, the slow rise and fall of breath, the faint glint of scales catching what little light reached them. Even at rest, Medusa was dangerous, not by choice, but by existence. Perseus adjusted his stance, each movement deliberate. He reminded himself of every lesson learned on the road here. Distance, angles, control. Strength would not help him now, only precision mattered. He stepped closer. The statues behind him seemed to watch, as if the stone itself waited to see whether this ending would be different. Perseus felt their presence, not as fear, but as weight. He carried them forward with him, every failed attempt etched into the ground. His grip tightened on the blade Hermes had given him. It felt balanced, patient, ready. Not eager, never eager. One breath, then another. Medusa stirred. Not awake, just a shift, a reminder that time was narrowing. Perseus adjusted the shield slightly, correcting the angle, keeping her reflection centered. His steps became smaller now, quieter, until even thought felt loud. This was not a battle. It was an execution of intent. When Perseus reached the final distance, he did not hesitate. He did not rush. He moved as he had practiced, guided by reflection, by trust in preparation over instinct. The blade rose and fell. The strike was swift, clean, and final. No struggle followed, no clash echoed through the lair, just a sudden stillness, deeper than the silence that came before. Perseus turned away immediately, eyes fixed on the shield, heart steady despite the weight of what he had done. He placed the head into the pouch, sealing it from sight, sealing its power from the world. Only then did he exhale. The serpents recoiled, sensing change. The air itself seemed to release the breath it had been holding. Stone did not move, but something ancient shifted, as if the land recognized that a chapter had ended. Perseus did not linger. He knew better to mistake success for safety. As he stepped back through the lair, the statues remained unchanged, silent witnesses to the one who had passed through without joining them. Their warning stood, but now it was joined by proof. It could be done. Outside, the light felt sharper, almost unfamiliar. Perseus paused only once, steadying himself as the weight of the moment settled in. He had entered the lair of stone and walked out again, not untouched, but alive. The impossible task had been completed, not through force, but through restraint, not through fury, but through focus. Medusa's gaze had been avoided, her curse contained, yet the story was not over. Because power does not disappear when it is defeated. It changes hands, and Perseus now carried something that could reshape fate itself. What he would do with it would define the legend that followed.
Victory rarely arrives with celebration. More often, it comes quietly, carrying questions heavier than any weapon. Perseus did not feel triumphant as he left the lair behind. The hardest part of the journey was over, yet the air around him felt changed, unsettled, as if the world itself was adjusting to what had just occurred. Medusa was gone, but her power was not. It traveled with him. As Perseus moved away from the stone-marked ground, the pouch at his side carried more than proof of success. It held a force that still commanded fear, even unseen. The curse of Medusa had not ended with her life, it had simply changed form. The first test came sooner than expected. Creatures rose to bar his path, drawn by movement, by chance, by fate. Perseus did not meet them with steel or strength. Instead, he revealed what he carried, only for a moment. The result was instant and absolute. Motion became stillness, threat became stone. Perseus sealed the pouch again, shaken. This was no trophy, this was a responsibility. As he continued his journey home, Perseus understood that power without restraint could undo everything he had accomplished. The head of Medusa was not a symbol of conquest, it was a reminder of how easily strength could become destruction. His escape carried him across land and sea, through skies opened by Hermes' guidance, and paths cleared by wisdom earned rather than given. Along the way, Perseus encountered others trapped by forces larger than themselves, innocents caught in cycles of fear and sacrifice. One such moment would echo through legend. A kingdom stood on the edge of despair, offering lives to satisfy a threat no one could face. Perseus intervened not for glory, but because he had learned the cost of inaction. Once again, Medusa's power ended the danger, not with cruelty, but with finality. Stone replaced terror, silence replaced suffering, and Perseus moved on. Each step carried him closer to home, yet farther from the young man who had once spoken a reckless vow at a feast. The road had reshaped him. He had learned when to act and when to hold back, when to trust strength and when to rely on thought. When Perseus finally returned, his arrival was not announced by fanfare. He walked into familiar places changed and found that the world had not waited for him to return unchanged either. The king who had sent him to his death now faced the truth of prophecy fulfilled, not through revenge, but through inevitability. Fate had not been avoided, it had simply taken its time. Perseus did not celebrate that outcome, he accepted it. With the quest complete, Perseus made a final choice. He did not keep Medusa's power for himself. He returned what remained to the gods, placing the head in Athena's care, where it would become a symbol, not of punishment, but of protection. Only then did the weight lift. The gods had guided him, but they did not define him. Perseus's legacy was not built on divine gifts alone. It was built on decisions made when no one was watching, on restraint where others would have chosen force. And so the story settled into memory. Perseus became more than a survivor, more than a hero who completed an impossible task. His name endured because it carried meaning. He proved that monsters are not always defeated by strength, and heroes are not measured by how loudly they win. Sometimes the greatest victories leave scars. Sometimes the cost of heroism is knowing exactly what you are capable of and choosing not to misuse it. Medusa's story did not end in her defeat. It lived on as a warning about power taken without consent, about justice delivered without mercy, about how easily victims can be turned into legends stripped of their truth. Perseus's story lived on as balance, a reminder that courage without wisdom is fleeting, and wisdom without courage changes nothing. Together, their fates shaped a myth that endured not because it was simple, but because it was human. If you've enjoyed journeying through this myth and want to continue exploring stories where gods, heroes, and consequences collide, make sure this channel is part of your path forward. New legends, deeper meanings, and timeless tales await, one story at a time.